Once upon a time, in the heart of the African savanna, there was a vast grassland teeming with life. The animals lived in harmony, but the balance of power was always clear. The lion was the king of the jungle, and all other creatures bowed to his might. However, in this story, the goats, often seen as meek and timid, would prove that intelligence and teamwork could outmatch even the fiercest of predators. In a quiet corner of the savanna, there was a herd of goats led by an old and wise goat named Gideon. Gideon was no ordinary goat. He had survived countless encounters with predators and had earned the respect of his herd. He often told his fellow goats, "Strength lies not in our horns, but in our minds." One day, a young and arrogant lion named Kibo arrived in the savanna. Kibo was strong, fast, and full of pride. He had left his pride to establish his own territory, and he saw the goats as easy prey. Day after day, Kibo would stalk the herd, picking off the weakest and slowest goats. The herd grew smaller, and fear began to spread. Gideon knew something had to be done. He called a meeting of the herd and said, "We cannot outrun the lion, nor can we fight him head-on. But if we use our wits, we can outsmart him." The goats listened intently as Gideon laid out his plan. The next morning, Gideon and a few of the strongest goats ventured to the edge of the savanna, where Kibo often lurked. They began to bleat loudly, drawing the lion's attention. Kibo, seeing the goats so exposed, charged at them with a mighty roar. But just as he was about to pounce, Gideon led the goats into a narrow ravine with steep, rocky walls. Kibo, blinded by his hunger and pride, followed them into the ravine. The goats, nimble and sure-footed, easily navigated the narrow path. Kibo, however, found himself trapped. The ravine was too narrow for him to turn around, and the rocks were too steep for him to climb. He roared in frustration, but there was no escape. From the safety of the ravine's entrance, Gideon called out, "You may be the king of the jungle, Kibo, but even a king can fall if he underestimates his prey." The goats bleated in triumph as they watched the mighty lion struggle. Days passed, and Kibo grew weaker. The goats, showing mercy, brought him water and food, but only after he promised to leave their herd in peace. Kibo, humbled and starving, agreed. When he was finally freed, he slunk away, never to trouble the goats again. From that day on, the goats roamed the savanna without fear. Gideon's wisdom had saved the herd, and the story of their victory over the lion spread far and wide. The animals of the savanna learned an important lesson: even the smallest and seemingly weakest among them could triumph with courage, intelligence, and unity. And so, the goats lived happily ever after, their legend forever etched into the annals of the savanna. Convert into Urdu.